truth is over 60% of cats brought to the vet for bald spots on their bellies and thighs have absolutely no fungal infections. They do not have fleas. They do not have dermatitis. You are completely misunderstanding the situation if you are rushing to the pet store to buy anti-itch sprays and fungal creams. Stop and look closely at your cat. Those red irritated patches of skin are actually a silent medical SOS signal. Your cat's nervous system is quietly collapsing right in front of you. Do not ignore this. Today we are counting down the 5 stages of self-destruction in cats caused by extreme sensory overload. Most people completely brush off the early warning signs, but the final sign at number 1 will make you look at your living room and your daily habits in a completely different light. Let us dive into the secret language of your cat's pain. Starting at number 5, obsessive grooming immediately after a burst of intense noise. You might have just turned on the vacuum cleaner to clean the rug, or maybe a sudden thunderstorm just rolled in, rattling the windows. Your cat darts away, and suddenly you see them sitting in the middle of the hallway, furiously licking their chest and front paws. They are doing it so fast and so intensely that it almost looks like they are trying to scrub a deep stain out of their fur. You might think they are just cleaning themselves after getting spooked. The truth is entirely different. Their body is desperately trying to survive a spike of pure panic. When a cat experiences an overwhelming auditory trigger, their brain goes into overdrive. To stop their heart from beating out of their chest, they use the rhythmic motion of their rough tongue against their fur. This repetitive physical action forces their brain to release endorphins. Endorphins are natural neurotransmitters that act as a self-soothing mechanism. Watch their body language closely next time. You will see their ears pinned flat against the sides of their head. Their pupils will contract into tiny slits as a defense mechanism against the overwhelming environment. They are not taking a bath. They are trying to medicate their own anxiety. But it does not stop there. This reaction escalates much faster than you think. And this is nothing compared to what happens when we reach the number 1 spot. Moving to number 4, hiding in the dark and licking the lower belly completely bare. Have you ever noticed your cat retreating deep under the bed, or squeezing into the tightest, darkest corner of your closet? You might reach in to pet them and realize that the soft fur on their lower stomach is completely gone, leaving behind a patch of smooth, sometimes pink and irritated skin. The biggest mistake owners make is dragging the cat out and immediately applying ringworm medication. You will be shocked to know that the real culprit might be that new lavender floor cleaner you just bought. Or perhaps you moved their litter box to a noisier part of the house. Cats are incredibly territorial, and their sense of smell is highly sensitive. When their territory feels violated, or their olfactory senses are bombarded by strong artificial scents, they feel deeply unsafe. Why the belly? The skin on a cat's lower abdomen is incredibly thin and packed with a dense network of sensitive nerve endings. By dragging their barbed tongue across this highly sensitive area, they are trying to trigger a massive release of oxytocin. They are desperately trying to crush the toxic levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that is currently flooding their bloodstream. The dark, quiet space gives them a temporary shield from the sensory assault of your busy home, while the licking provides a chemical comfort. You think a bare belly is just a weird quirk, but wait until you hear about number 3, where the line between a nervous habit and a serious psychological condition begins to blur entirely. Number 3. Perfectly symmetrical baldness known as psychogenic alopecia. You are sitting on the couch and your cat jumps onto your lap. As they stretch out, you notice something incredibly strange. The insides of both their hind legs or the outer sides of their front legs are completely bald, and the baldness is perfectly symmetrical on both sides, as if someone took a pair of electric clippers and carefully shaved them. This is the hallmark of psychogenic alopecia. At this stage, your cat's sensory system has been overwhelmed for a long time. Maybe it is the constant smell of a neighbor's dog wafting under the door. Maybe it is the high-pitched hum of a new refrigerator that you cannot hear, but they can. When their environment becomes too chaotic, their brain craves control. They find that control in a deeply stereotyped, repetitive behavior. They will sit for hours staring blankly into space with their pupils heavily dilated, licking the exact same spots over and over again. They are essentially zoning out, disconnecting from the stressful reality around them. Most owners will pin their cat down and force a plastic cone around their neck at this stage. But stopping the licking without fixing the environment is the cruelest thing you can do. Imagine being trapped in a room with a blaring siren and the only way you can cope is by covering your ears. Now imagine someone ties your hands behind your back so you cannot even do that. That is what a plastic cone feels like to a cat suffering from severe stress. Their mind is crying out for a safe, quiet routine. They need you to look beyond the missing fur and see the invisible triggers in your home. Are there stray cats outside the window taunting them at night? Is the air freshener plugged into the wall creating a toxic cloud for their sensitive nose? The symmetrical baldness is a map of their anxiety. But the biggest mistake of all is waiting until this point to intervene. Because what happens at number 1 is where things completely spiral out of your control. Coming in at number 2, biting and plucking the fur straight from the roots. This is where the behavior shifts from a self-soothing mechanism to active self-harm. You might be sitting quietly in your living room reading a book. The house is completely silent, but then you hear a strange, quiet sound. A soft tearing noise. You look over and see your cat not just licking but actually using their front incisors to grab small tufts of fur and yank them completely out. They might leave small, wet clumps of hair scattered on the carpet. When you part their remaining fur, you will not just see baldness. You will see red, irritated scrapes and sometimes tiny spots of blood, where the hair follicles have been violently pulled. At this stage, their sensory system has completely collapsed. The adrenaline levels in their body have spiked so high that the rough keratin papillae on their tongue are no longer enough to distract them from their internal panic. It is a heartbreaking reality of biology. When mental distress reaches an unbearable peak, the brain sometimes seeks a sharp physical sensation to anchor itself. They are essentially trading emotional pain for physical discomfort, because physical pain is something they can understand and locate. It is a desperate coping mechanism. They are not doing this because they have a skin infection. They are doing this because they feel trapped in an environment that is constantly overwhelming their senses. If you have seen your cat pulling out their own hair, you need to intervene immediately by consulting a behaviorist and checking every single change in your home. But even this distressing behavior is not the final stage, because the number 1 spot is where the nervous system physically short-circuits. The number 1 sign of severe sensory overload and stress, feline hyperesthesia syndrome or rolling skin disease. You are watching your cat sleep peacefully in a patch of sunlight. Suddenly their eyes snap open. The pupils are completely dilated, turning their eyes into large black pools. You will see the skin on their lower back begin to ripple and twitch violently like a wave running down their spine. They will suddenly whip their head around with a sharp hiss, staring at their own back or tail as if an invisible predator has just bitten them. They might suddenly sprint across the room in pure terror, or start aggressively attacking their own tail and flanks. This is not them being playful or catching the zoomies. This is the absolute peak of a nervous system breakdown. Their sympathetic nervous system is misfiring entirely. The nerve endings just beneath the surface of their skin have become so inflamed and hyper-reactive that even the slightest shift in air currents or the gentle touch of a falling piece of dust feels like sharp needles piercing their skin. A distant high-frequency noise from an old television or the hum of a smart device that humans cannot even register can trigger these painful physical spasms. Their own body has become an uncomfortable place to live in. They are fighting invisible demons created by their own overstimulated nerves. You will be shocked to know the truth about how we usually treat this. The ultimate mistake is to simply put a plastic cone around their neck and isolate them in a room with a harsh topical cream. If you do this without identifying and removing the root cause of their stress, whether it is a dominant pet in the house, a lack of vertical hiding spaces, or overwhelming artificial sense, you are taking away their only coping mechanism. You are essentially locking them inside a sensory prison. Please do not ignore these signs. Look around your home through the eyes of a creature that can hear a mouse heartbeat from feet away and smell things we cannot even comprehend. Give them quiet, safe spaces. Throw away the strong chemical air fresheners. Provide a clean and private litter box. If you found this information helpful and want to understand your feline friend better, please hit the like button, leave a comment about your cat's behavior, and subscribe to our channel. Share this video to help other cat owners stop making this heartbreaking mistake. And before you go, you might want to check your kitchen. Did you know that a slightly flickering fluorescent light bulb can cause your cat chronic daily stress? We will reveal exactly why that happens in our next video. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you do not miss it.